Okay, so hello everyone. I am Fortunato. I'm a product manager at Kleros and I take care of the curation ecosystem. As Federico introduced earlier, the curation, in few words, the curation ecosystem is a set of tools that we have to verify and validate information through a fully decentralized process, decentralized and transparent process. We optimize this process for on-chain assets, as Federico said, since 2019. And now we are seeing how we are transferring this verification, this decentralized verification for real-world assets. And in this presentation, in the first part, I will explain you a bit how we optimized it with Kleros Scout for vetting on-chain assets. And then I will continue what already Mike and Dennis discussed about how the process itself is applied to real-world assets. So we already have been through this, how a product can be, how an item can be verified or certified. There is a policy with certain requirements. Then a farmer or a wine producer or a team behind the token request to be verified. The decentralized community checks if the submission is compliant with the policy, and then eventually the item can be verified. What I will focus now is what happens once the item is verified. Once the item is verified, it needs to be listed on a platform. And when I talk about platform, it can be really everything. It can be a centralized exchange listing tokens. It can be a e-commerce listing electronic products, listing consumer goods, or even an investment platforms listing traditional finance instruments or real estates. So once the item is verified, we identified three main options on how it can be listed. The first one is in a permissionless way. So once the item is verified, it is listed straight on the platform. It's the most decentralized option. Then we have a filtering option where the item is verified on chain, and then the partner can have a internal compliance team that double checks this information. This option is designed for those teams who want to keep the last word on which item they are putting on their platforms, but at the same time, it keeps the transparency and decentralization because the information are still all available. And then another options that we designed is very specific because there are certain fields that require documents to be private, to be anonymous. So we can still have let's say 80% of the verification to be decentralized and on-chain. And then compliance team can focus on asking additional information, maybe some documents that they need to be anonymous even by the law, for example. So in general, the second and the third options that you see here, we designed to help partners to have a larger number of items on their platform without having to invest in huge compliance team. In fact, even Federico at the beginning of the presentation showed how this is a real problem for exchange, that they have too many submissions and they cannot keep up with the request. So I will go through two of these examples. The first one is how we mastered the permissionless approach through Kleros Scout, and then later, really quick, we will see how Edfinex handled this the filtering approach. First of all, Kleros Scout is a tool, a fully permissionless and decentralized tool with the goal of providing safe on-chain transaction. So we have a registry with information about token, address tags, which is basically the public name of a contract, and contract domain names, which is matching the smart contract with a domain to ensure the safe transactions. So as I said, this tool is fully decentralized. As Kleros, we don't decide what token can be listed or what not. It's everything is decentralized and transparent, and the system is incentivized and powered by reward and bounties. So the cost for adopt such system can start from zero, and then if platform want to invest in having higher rewards, they can autonomously decide if they want to incentivize submission. We at Kleros have some incentive plans, monthly plans to give more to stimulate submissions. So how do we know that this system is working, that Kleros Scout is working? If we look at data in the last year, only 15% of submission has been challenged. And when there has been a challenge, 94% of the time has been won by the challenger. But what does this number mean in real life? This means that most of the items that have been submitted are compliant by the first submission, by the first verification layer. So the community does a great job in reading the policy and posting only the compliant items. But we also have a 14% of the 15% of the cases where some problem is found in these is flagged. Let's say the submission is flagged as there is some problem, and in 94% of the cases this problem is a real one. So the submission was not compliant with the policy. To give you a more real case parallel with this example, we often see in real courts, in real tribunals, that people sue and go to court for useless reasons, just to have some bounty, to have some compensation, and they sue companies or they sue other people, and they happen to be meaningless because the only reason is to get an economical advantage. But in this case with Kleros, the community is doing a great job to using Kleros Court only when effectively there is a problem in the submission. Further confirmation that this system is proved and is working is by the fact that we are partnering with the main players in the blockchain field. We have MetaMask, Etherscan, and Ledger taking data straight from our registries, even them in a fully permissionless way. If if a token is present on Kleros Scout, you will also see it listed on Etherscan, for example. And this is the exact vision that we have of how this verification should be used, because when a token is verified, the final user doesn't necessarily have to go back to Kleros Scout and manually go there and check if the token is compliant. They have their MetaMask interface, the Etherscan interface, and right away they see there that contract is verified. And this significantly simplifies how we handle transaction. And from the partner side, it also increased the retention rate because that item is verified. I will certainly prefer to interact with a verified items. And even another extremely important point here is it's not just verified. You can check how the item was verified. Now, really briefly, I wanted to show you how we handle the filtering approach with Adfinex. They had a multi-step verification. So at first, let's say they got their token listed to what was the ancestor of Kleros Scout, which was Kleros token curated registries. Then Adfinex wanted a second decentralized filtering, obtaining a badge, which is what Federico explained at the beginning, with more strict rules. For example, they wanted their team to be verified. And in the end, after these two decentralized steps, they also had an internal audit with a drawing mechanism. And at the end, they would list the token on their platforms. Now, this type of this system, this decentralized verification, this decentralized curation brings advantage to all the actors participating, because For the users interacting with verified items, they have safer transactions because the process behind is transparent. So they can decide, okay, I will interact with this contract because it has been verified. If they have to decide between an unverified contract and a verified one, they will certainly go with the verified one. And this also reflects for the partner side, because the verified contract will be on a specific platform. So the partner using this type of decentralized verification will have a higher retention rate. The customer will be more satisfied. Even, in general, as customers, we prefer to interact with platforms that have any type of verification. And still, for the partner, it's not just an advantage in terms of competition, but also an advantage in how they handle the verification process, as it can be faster, scalable, and they do not need a huge compliance team to sustain a large amount of submission. And the large amount of submission, handling a large amount of submission also brings a platform to be updated, because both partners and users want to interact with fresh launched products, whatever they are. And nonetheless, also the trustability, because since we can see all the information behind the certification, if there is any fraud, any wrongdoing, we know who is accountable for this process, for this problem. Now, switching to what Mike and Dennis discussed about how we can bring this process to real-world assets. The current status, we have centralized companies issuing certifications. And right now, we can only blindly trust their brand. They do most of the work is building their brand as the most trustable certifier. And as a final user, you can just say, okay, I trust this brand. I have no idea how they certified this product. I have no idea what was the process, what kind of data they have. And they issue the certification. And also, as Mike and Dennis suggested, in some cases, it's done just for money. There isn't a proper verification and certification behind. Now, a point that I would like to underline before switching to this slide is that the system that we are suggesting, that we are studying right now, can be also adopted by this company. It's not something exclusive that we say, okay, we are just an exclusive alternative. If they want, they can adopt such system. And the logic behind this is that when you verify an item, even it can be real estate, when you verify an item through a decentralized process, you can, as a user, you can check all the information on chain. And this information, they cannot be changed. You can check when it was built, that specific real estate. You can check all the documentation related to the history, where it is located, the surface of the real estate. You can do your own due diligence. So at this point, it doesn't matter really who is issuing the certification. To some degree, you don't even have to trust Kleros, even if we are extremely trustable. You don't even have to trust Kleros. You say, I want to invest in this real estate development. Let me see who is building it, how this investment was certified. And then you can make your informed decision. So this can be used both in an independent way or even by the players that are already working into the certification field, because you don't have to build a brand. You just have to do your own diligence, check how the product itself was certified, and you can make your decision whether to interact or not with that item. So this was the brief presentation of how the system works.